Do you then think sometimes people get caught up in their preference, and because it's so rigid, it becomes a prison and they can't find the type of love that they need?
You brought up some really good points right there. So I'm gonna go in order of these. So the first thing that just really jumped out to me that you said is us getting wrapped up in our preferences. So people have what's comfortable, like this is what I'm familiar with, and this is what I say I want. Like here's what I say I want, here's what I'm familiar with. If what you're familiar with is people hurting you, people beating, people cheating, people manipulating and taking advantage of you. You're familiar with this, but you want this. Now, let's say you right now decide, okay, the people I've been dealing with, I don't want that. I'm going to go to what I do want. Now, you just go from what you're familiar with to what you're comfortable with. You're not going, well, what you're familiar with and what you want. If you jump from that overnight, you're going to destroy what you want. Because if you spent the last 10 years, 5 years, however long, being cheated on, and you go to somebody who's not a cheater, like for an undeniable fact, they're not cheating, you're going to think they are because deep down, part of you is familiar with it. And our brains don't really think in terms of what's good for us and what's bad for us. It thinks life or death. And what you're familiar with has not killed you yet. What you're not familiar with could kill you. So, in a backwards way, if you're used to people hurting you and you go to somebody who doesn't hurt you, you're going to think they're about to. I had that exact thing happen with an ex-girlfriend of mine where her, you know, and see, this is another thing about us as men. We often let beauty blind us. She told me quite early on that her last ex was a drug dealer at one point, and the other one had went to like juvenile. Me thinking I could save people, I me thinking I could save people. I thought that I was going to, just like show her a different life. Because she's saying, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. And I'm like, maybe she just had bad luck. So time goes on. And one of the things that would always come up is I would say, hey, you do realize that that vape is slowly killing you. Like I'm not trying to tell you that your way of coping is wrong, but have you tried putting it down? And she's like, you're being controlling and manipulating and gaslighting me and throwing all these terms out there. And looking back on it now, I can see what she was familiar with was actually being her. What she wanted was to not be, but because she didn't do the inner work to go from the past that she does not want but is familiar with to the future that she does want but is unfamiliar with, she self sabotaged it. And the last thing you brought up too, on that note of people's preferences, a lot of people like preferences, like if you ask them what do they want, like describe to me your dream partner, and you ask a million people this, they most of them, I would bargain to say 95% are going to say the exact same things. Why is that? Because we are not really doing the inner work to say, what do I want? But no, we're thinking, how this gonna look on the gram? Is she gonna be buying me bags that I could post? Do she look good on my arm? And we start thinking like, does my partner fit the standard that the world says my partner should fit? Like, perfect example of this too is a lot of people who I've dated, they do not look how social media would say they look, but they got a character, like their character qualities. Obviously, nobody's perfect, and I'm not, but their character qualities are the thing that really sold it to me because yes, this person looks good. Yes, this man might be tall and have a $5 million and drive a Bugatti or whatever. Yes, this girl, she might have a tight waist, a big hip, she look real good on your arm, but you can't trust them. They're lying to you. They're manipulating. They're doing all these things. So we need to look deeper than the surface, like deeper than the physical, the material, the financial, the beauty, and the looks, and actually get into, do I actually like this person?
When you mentioned self-sabotage, and then you mentioned this last part where you said, do I actually like the person? And you highlighted social media and the presentation that a lot of people give out. What are then maybe some of the impacts that could happen to someone who falls in love with the mask of the person, but when that mask falls off now and they see the real person, they're like, oh, this is who you are?
Oh yeah. So real easy to answer that one. A lot of people they say like, oh, there's this honeymoon phase where like everything's so wonderful and lovey-dovey, and you think that they're like the best person in the world. Now, yeah, from a brain chemical perspective, that is a thing. But I believe a really big part of it is that for 2 months, it's actually pretty easy to keep up a facade. Like for 2 months, it's pretty easy to put your best foot forward. And most people just have, and this isn't even anything like against people, it's just we don't really get taught how to look for the cracks. Like how to look and say, okay, they're saying one thing, but their actions are doing another. And to do it in a way that's not paranoid, because some people they'll just be like paranoid and think one single word or one single sentence means that this person is going to kill you in 5 days. But no, being able to look at it on a rational level and see what this person truly is rather than what they portray themselves to be. And with the image and going back to social media, and then I'm going to tie this into self love too, because these three things blend so well together. Because people get so in love with the image of social media, of how the person portrays themselves, and they fall in love with how it looks. Deep down, that teaches you that I need to look and portray a certain thing. Like I need to show money, I need to show my body, I need to look a certain way for people to like me. And when you start being your real authentic self, it kind of scares people because if someone's walking around with the mask on, they know they're doing it. And most people are kind of blind to it. So when someone is being their real self and another person comes along who isn't their real self, it's like you can just see it in people.